He woke up every day knowing he was going to hit it well. He just knew he was going to hit it well.
There is no telling what Moe Norman would have won. I think he would have won the U.S. Open. I think he would have won all the tournaments around the world. I mean, he is that good, and he's still that good.
I am James, and this is Golf Relived. How good was Moe Norman? That is the question golf's biggest legends could not stop answering, and every single one of them had the same look when they did, a look of total awe. Most fans have never heard his name. He did not win a major. He looked different. He acted different. He moved fast, talked fast, and did things on a golf course that made no sense to anyone watching. Some people laughed. Some people walked away. But the best ball strikers who ever lived, they stopped everything just to watch him hit one ball. And if you are new here and enjoying this already, tap the hype button right now. It takes 1 second and it means everything to a channel like this. Just a quick tap, and then let us keep going, because this story is worth every minute. Here's the twist that most people miss. Moe Norman was not just some quirky Canadian golfer who got lucky a few times. He was the man that Tiger Woods studied as a teenager. He was the man that Sam Snead, Ben Hogan, and Lee Trevino talked about in private. He was the man that Vijay Singh called the greatest golfer he had ever seen. And he was the man that a room full of world champions stopped warming up to watch hit balls at a 1995 tournament range. Why? What did they see that the public missed? That is exactly what we are going to find out today. We are going to go through 7 golf legends who spoke about Moe Norman, and we are going to count them down. We start at the bottom of the list and work our way up to the one that hits different from all the rest. Let us go. Number 7, Tom Watson. Tom Watson is one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. 5 Open championships, 2 Masters titles. A man who competed at the highest level for decades. And when Watson talked about Moe Norman, he did not do it loudly. He did it like someone letting you in on a secret. Watson would pull people aside and say this. He would say, "I will tell you about a guy who can hit it better than anybody. His name is Moe Norman up in Canada. That line matters." Watson did not say Moe was one of the best. He said Moe could hit it better than anybody. That is a bold thing to say when you are Tom Watson. He has seen every elite player up close. He has watched the best in the world warm up on driving ranges all over the globe. And still, when he thought about pure ball striking, the name that came out of his mouth was Moe Norman. There is something powerful about a legend speaking quietly but with total confidence. Watson was not shouting it from a rooftop. He was sharing it like a private truth. That is the kind of respect you cannot fake. Number 6. George Knudson. George Knudson was the finest Canadian golfer of his generation. He was a ball striker of the highest order himself, a man who understood the mechanics of hitting a golf ball better than almost anyone. So when Knudson gave a verdict on Moe Norman, it carried a different kind of weight. He was not just a fan, he was a peer, a fellow craftsman, and Knudson did not hold back. He said that in 1955 and 1956, Moe Norman was the best golfer in the world, period. Not the best Canadian, not the best amateur, the best golfer in the entire world. But Knudson went even further. He said Moe's swing was good today and would be good 100 years from now. That is quality, he said. That word matters. Not talent, not skill, quality. The kind of thing that does not fade with trends or technology or new instruction methods. The kind of thing that is simply correct. Knudson and Moe actually practiced together. They did not practice in the way most golfers do. They did not work on short putts or bunker shots. They tracked fairways hit and greens hit. Pure accuracy. And on one single day during their sessions, Moe hit 6 flagsticks. Not near the flag, not close to the pin. He hit the actual flagstick 6 times in one day. That is not skill. That is something else entirely. Number 5, Ken Venturi and Vijay Singh. We are putting these two together because they each gave a tribute that was short, sharp, and said everything. Ken Venturi was a major champion and spent years as a CBS commentator watching the best players in the world up close. He had a trained eye and he was not the type to hand out compliments freely. Venturi said plainly that Moe Norman never got the credit he deserved. He said the reason was simple. Moe was eccentric. His behavior was unusual. People judged what they saw on the outside and never looked hard enough at what was happening with the club. But Venturi was clear. Judged purely on ball striking, Moe Norman was one of the premier ball strikers he had ever seen. And then he added the line that tells you everything. He said he would give Moe 3 strokes aside just to watch him hit the golf ball. 3 strokes. That means Venturi believed watching Moe hit was worth giving up 3 shots in a round. That is not a compliment. That is a declaration. Then there is Vijay Singh, 3 major championships. One of the most dedicated range workers the game has ever seen. A man who spent more hours hitting balls than almost any professional in history. When someone asked Singh who the best golfer he had ever seen was, he did not pause. He did not think it over. He answered immediately. He said Moe Norman was God's gift to golf. That was it. No explanation needed. God's gift to golf. Coming from a man who spent his career watching and competing against every great player of his generation, that answer hits like a hammer. Number 4, Ben Hogan. Ben Hogan was different from the other legends on this list. Hogan did not give compliments easily. He did not see the game the way most people did. And when it came to Moe Norman, Hogan had a problem, a philosophical one. Hogan believed that a perfectly straight golf shot was an accident. He built his entire method around the idea that a player should shape the ball, work it one way, manage the curve, use the flight as a tool. A straight ball was unpredictable, he thought, because it meant you were asking the club to do something it was not really designed to do at full speed. And then Hogan watched Moe Norman hit balls. He watched Moe launch shot after shot in a laser straight line, not once or twice, over and over again, the kind of repetition that should have been statistically impossible under Hogan's own framework. And after watching it happen again and again, Hogan looked at Moe and reportedly said this: "Just keep hitting those accidents, kid." A lot of people have read that as a put-down. It was not. It was something rarer. It was Ben Hogan admitting out loud that what he was watching did not fit inside his understanding of the golf swing. He could not explain it. His theory said it should not be happening, and it was happening anyway. For Hogan to say even that much was extraordinary. He was acknowledging that Moe had found something he had not. Number 3, Sam Snead. The Sam Snead and Moe Norman story is one of the best arcs in golf history. It starts with mockery and ends with one of the most sincere tributes in the sport. Their first encounter came at the 1956 Masters. Snead saw Moe on the range and, like many people at the time, he did not take the odd Canadian too seriously. He offered Moe some unsolicited swing tips. Moe, eager to show respect to a living legend, took those tips to heart. He went to the range that night and hit 800 golf balls. 800. He hit so many that he destroyed his hands. Blisters so bad he had to withdraw from the tournament. That was the kind of dedication Moe had. That was also the kind of damage that one bad piece of advice could do to someone who practiced with that level of intensity. But things changed over the years. Snead began to see what others were seeing, and the moment that sealed it came at a 1971 exhibition in Canada. There was a creek running across the fairway about 240 yards from the tee. Snead looked at the situation and told Moe to lay up. Be smart. Avoid the trouble. And Moe looked at him and said he was aiming for the bridge, the little wooden footbridge over the creek, at 240 yards away. He then hit a drive that landed directly on the wooden footbridge and rolled across to the other side. A called shot. At 240 yards in front of witnesses. Snead stopped calling him Moe the Schmo that day. He started calling him Pipeline, and later Snead gave Moe one of the highest technical tributes a golf legend can give another. He said Moe had the best hands in golf. In golf instruction, hands means club face control at the moment of impact. It is the most important single element in hitting a golf ball. And Snead, the man with one of the most beautiful swings in history, said the eccentric Canadian with the wide stance and the palm grip had the best of it. Number 2, Lee Trevino. Lee Trevino is one of the most gifted natural ball strikers the game has ever produced. 6 major championships. A swing that nobody taught him and nobody could copy. A man who figured it out on his own through thousands of hours of hitting balls. In other words, Trevino knew exactly what it felt like to find something real without being handed it by an instructor. And Trevino called Moe Norman a genius. Not a good player, not a great striker. A genius. A living legend, he said. He told people that if you went anywhere in the professional golf world and mentioned a Canadian who hit the ball so ridiculously well, every single pro knew exactly who you were talking about. That's the Canadian guy that hits it so damn good, isn't it? That was the line. Every tour player said it the same way. There's a story that captures Trevino's feeling perfectly. Moe was on the range and someone handed him one of Trevino's clubs. Moe immediately said it was too light. That should have been a signal to put it down. Instead, Moe hit 5 consecutive shots with that unfamiliar club, and the balls landed so close together that they were nearly touching, with a club he had never used, that he had just said was the wrong weight. 5 shots, nearly touching. Trevino saw that and he had no choice but to bow to it, because Trevino himself was a man who prided himself on feel and calibration and the ability to work with any club, and what Moe did was on another level entirely. Number 1, Tiger Woods. This is where it ends. This is the one that matters most, because Tiger Woods saying your name alongside Ben Hogan is not just a compliment, it is a coronation. In January of 2005, Tiger gave an interview to Golf Digest, and in that interview he said something that reframed the entire history of the golf swing in one sentence. He said that in the history of golf, only 2 players had ever truly owned their swings: Moe Norman and Ben Hogan. Owned. That word is everything. Not mastered, not perfected. Owned. It means the swing belongs to you so completely that nothing can shake it. No pressure, no bad lies, no bad weather, no bad day. You own it, and it does exactly what you tell it to do, every single time. Tiger said that as a teenager, he used to go to his local library and sit at a microfiche reader to study old golf swings. He studied Hogan, he studied Trevino, and he studied Moe Norman, not because anyone told him to, because what Moe was doing on film was different from everything else. Tiger described Moe's ball flight as resembling Iron Byron. That is the mechanical robot that equipment manufacturers use to test golf clubs. A machine designed to produce zero side spin every single time. Tiger said Moe's ball flight looked the same as that machine. Zero surprises. The ball went exactly where it was supposed to go, every single time, shaped by nothing but pure contact. Tiger's entire swing philosophy was built around reducing variables. The fewer things that can go wrong, the more consistent the result. And when he looked at Moe, he saw a man who had reduced the variables to almost nothing. Now let us talk about what Moe was actually doing, because this is what all 7 legends were reacting to. Moe used what became known as the single plane swing. In a traditional golf swing, the club sits at one angle when you address the ball, and it comes back to a slightly different angle at impact. That gap between the two positions creates the need for timing, and timing is the enemy of consistency. Moe fixed that. He set the club at address in the same position it would return to at impact. One plane, no gap, no extra timing needed. His arms were more outstretched than normal. The club was aligned with his forearm. He used a palm grip instead of a finger grip, which minimized rotation in the hands and gave him more stability. His stance was extremely wide, almost unnaturally so, which created a fixed axis to swing around like a pendulum. His takeaway was low and slow, staying low to the ground for up to 27 inches behind the ball, and his impact sequence felt like 4 simple moves: buckle, sit, slide, and bump. That is it. No complicated timing, no heroic effort, just a sequence of simple movements that repeated the same way every time. He also used extremely heavy clubs ranging from E3 to E8 swing weights, and he wrapped his grips with 4 layers of gauze tape to thicken them. He believed in mass as much as speed. Let the weight of the club do the work. Let the stability do the job that timing usually has to do. Gary Player, who saw every great swing of the 20th century, said Moe had fewer moving parts than any swing he had ever witnessed. The result? In one exhibition, Moe hit 1,540 drives. Not one of them landed outside a 30-yard wide zone. That is not a range session. That is a machine operating. And speaking of machines, Titleist eventually tested Moe in their research facility. What they found stunned their own team. Moe was the only golfer they had ever tested who could consistently produce shots with zero side spin. Their research supervisor, Karen Gray, said that even their robotic testing equipment often failed to match the zero side spin profile that Moe produced naturally. The robots struggled. Moe did not. Titleist CEO Wally Uihlein was so moved by this that he signed Moe to a lifetime deal worth $5,000 a month. He called it a back-end scholarship. Moe had played Titleist balls his entire career without ever receiving a cent in sponsorship. This was the company's way of acknowledging what they owed him. It was also the golf industry's formal recognition that Moe Norman was not a curiosity. He was a treasure. There is one more layer to Moe that is important to understand. People who knew him well noted that he repeated phrases, moved at a rapid pace, took no practice swings, and showed little interest in social norms. Many observers over the years have suggested, respectfully, that Moe may have been neurodivergent. Some described him as the Rain Man of golf, but treat that carefully. It was never a diagnosis. It was an observation, and what mattered to Moe was not how people labeled him, but what he could do with a golf club. He never took a practice swing. He said they were a waste of time for thinking and could let negative thoughts creep in. His routine was one look and I hit. That was it. Total simplicity, total commitment. And when asked how he could be so consistent, Moe said something that has stuck with everyone who heard it. He said, "I do not know how to swing badly. My body does not know how. It is so simple. That line right there is the whole story." He reduced the golf swing to something so clear, so geometric, so free of confusion that his body simply could not produce a bad shot. And the greatest players who ever lived looked at that and felt something close to reverence. He did not win the majors. He did not have the trophy case, but he had something rarer. He had the respect of every single person on this list: Watson, Knudson, Venturi, Singh, Hogan, Snead, Trevino, and Tiger. 8 legends who each came to the same conclusion through their own eyes and their own experience. The eccentric Canadian from Kitchener, Ontario had found the geometric truth of the golf swing. And once you find something like that, it does not belong to a decade or a generation. As Knudson said, it is good today and good 100 years from now. Moe Norman was golf's human Iron Byron, the standard, the pipeline. And the fact that Titleist could not find a robot that matched him tells you everything you need to know about how rare that was. That is the story of how good Moe Norman really was. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which legend's quote hit you hardest. Was it Tiger calling him one of only 2 players to own their swing? Was it Vijay saying God's gift to golf? Or was it Hogan admitting he could not explain what he was seeing? And while you are down there, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Golf Relived if you are not already. We cover the stories that deserve more light. Moe Norman is one of them. See you in the next one.